We'll be studying subtraction word problems, and our focus will be on identifying subtraction keywords, look at the steps for solving the word problems, and then looking at how to solve examples. So here are the keywords that we want to pay attention to when we look at subtraction. We're looking at less or less than, we're looking at fewer, we're looking at decrease, we're looking at give away or gave, keyword difference, change, left, how many more, how much more. Those are the kind of keywords that you want to look out for in a subtraction word problem, or in a word problem that leads you to a subtraction. So with word problems, we want to always identify what we know, what we don't know, then we want to identify the keywords, and then we're going to perform the subtraction. Let's look at some examples. So Mary decided to sell all of her old books. She gathered up 44 books to sell. She sold 19 books in a yard sale. How many books does Mary have left? So let's see, what do we know? So here are the things we know. We know the number of books she gathered, number of books gathered. We also know number of books sold. So we're looking at the number of books sold, and we want to know which, because we don't know that right now. Unknown is number of books left. Okay, so now we want to figure out if we can identify a keyword that leads us to a subtraction. It says, how many books does she have left? Left or leftover. So she started off with 44 books and she sold 19 books. So we want to find out how many books she has left over. So we start from the right hand side. 4 minus 9, we can't really do that. So we're going to go to the left hand side, the neighbor on the left hand side. We go to the neighbor on the left hand side and beg for 1. So borrow 1 from that neighbor. The neighbor is left with 3, but the one that we have now makes this number 14. 14 minus 9, we have 5, and then 3 minus 1, we have 2. So Mary has 25 books left. Let's look at that. Mary has 25 books left. Let's look at another example. Martha has 473 pennies in her piggy bank. Simon also has a piggy bank but has 164 pennies in his piggy bank. How many more pennies does Martha have than Simon? What do we know? Let's start from there. We know pennies Martha has. We also know the number of pennies that Simon has. But what we don't know is, unknown here, is how many more pennies Martha has than Simon. Okay, now we need to identify a keyword that leads us to subtraction, if any. So we're looking for how many more. This is the keyword that leads us to a subtraction. So we have 473 pennies from Martha and 164 pennies from Simon, and we want to subtract to find the difference, to find how many more. So 3 minus 4, not doable, so we go over to 7, we borrow 1, we're left with 6 over here. This becomes 13. 13 minus 4, we have 9. 6 minus 6, we have 0. 4 minus 1, we have 3. So this means that Martha has 309 more pennies than Simon. Final example. Dan grew 44 watermelons and 37 turnips, but the rabbits ate 16 watermelons. How many watermelons does Dan have left? Okay, so what do we know? What we know is Dan grew, we have 44 watermelons. We also have 37 turnips. We have 37 turnips. And we also know that the rabbits ate 16 watermelons. Okay. Now, what do we not know? What do we not know? We don't know how many watermelons Dan has left. So we don't know how many watermelons Dan has left. Okay, so we're going to pay attention to these because we want to find out what's the keyword that is going to lead us to a subtraction. The keyword here is left. So we have 44 watermelons because the focus of the question is on watermelons. So we're focused on watermelons, so we have 44 originally, and the rabbit ate 16, so we have watermelons. Okay, so now we subtract 4 minus 6. We can't really do that, so we're going to borrow from this 4. This is left with 3, and now we have 14. 14 minus 6, we have 8. 3 minus 1, 2. So we have 28 watermelons left. So let's write it. Dan has 28 watermelons left. Now the important thing to know here is we did not use turnips in any of our work because the question doesn't really focus on turnips. It's more focused on the watermelons.